welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. Here we are opening the new genre, the preludes. What is a prelude, first of all? Prelude, from Latin preludus, means before play, literally, was pieces that were originally in Baroque especially intended to be only introduction to some bigger piece. Usually they were the goal of preludes was to set the key of the piece that follows, and the character also, to prepare for the character of the main piece. As you probably know, the most famous set of preludes is the set written by Johann Sebastian Bach, Das wohltemperierte Klavier, the well-tempered clavier. The two books of 24 preludes and fugues in all the keys. This is very important now. 24. I'm talking now to music lovers who has no knowledge about music. Why 24? Why Chopin wrote 24 preludes? The answer is very easy. In the world of music, we have 24 different keys. About keys, I'm talking and explaining very thoroughly in my lecture about Nocturne in G major, Opus 37, number 2. If you didn't watch it yet, please do so, because then you will have a very detailed explanation about what is the tonality and the keys. Anyway, on every single key we can build a chord which is the center of the can be the center of the piece of music. And we have 12 notes, so we can build 12 different major chords, and we also can build 12 minor chords on the same keys. Now, to explain the order of the preludes, we have to talk a little bit about the music theory in as simple words as I can find, even though it's not so easy to explain, but let's try. As I said before, we have 12 major chords and then 12 minor chords. And what is very important to know is that every major chord has his sister or brother, whatever you call it, in minor. And what is important, it's not the chord which is built on the same key, which means that if I play C major, the brother of C major is not C minor. Now, explanation what we mean, we musicians, what we mean by saying a brother or sister. Well, this is how I call it, of course, but let's stick into this. When we have the C major chord or C major scale, which has only white keys, this is the easiest explanation that I can find. Only white. Then the C major chord must also have only white keys. And all the chords in this tonality will be in white keys. And now the sister of C major, the minor chord, must also be built only on white keys, only on white keys. We cannot do it in C minor because to build the minor chord we have to use one black key, because that's how the scale goes. Here we come deeper into music theory. I don't want to go too deep because I know it can be too difficult, too maybe even boring a little. And it's not so important. But what is important is how Bach constructed his preludes and fugue and how Chopin constructed his preludes, because it's not the same. Johann Sebastian Bach built his preludes and fugues just like I showed you in my video about Nocturne in G major. He decided to go chromatically up and to build first in major, the C major, then in minor, in the same key, and then he went chromatically up. Chopin did something different. He decided to put preludes in groups of 2. So every single major prelude has his sister or brother in minor, which is 2 notes lower. Always 2 notes lower, the third lower. Anyway, that's why we have this keys. But for music lovers, it's not that important. Maybe the only important thing is for you, for all of you, that every time we have the major prelude, then the minor prelude, major and minor. This is quite important. But definitely, Chopin got his inspiration to write preludes from Johann Sebastian Bach. Definitely. Of course, he had also some other possibilities, because Johann Sebastian Bach wrote preludes and fugues. Chopin didn't feel like writing fugues. The fugue was not a popular genre in Romanticism. Chopin wrote only one fugue as a kind of harmony exercise when he was at school. But he didn't like to write fugues. It was not nothing for him. But he wanted to write 24 preludes. Another inspiration for him could be also the fashion, we could say, to compose pieces, short pieces in all the 24 keys. Because I don't know if you know, but Chopin was not the first to write something like this in Romanticism. Before him, Johann Nepomuk Hummel wrote Vorspiele vor Anfänge eines Stückes aus allen 24 Dur- und Moll-Tonaten, Opus 67, in 1815. So Chopin was only 5 years old. For sure he knew this. Well, in English it's 24 little pieces in all the keys, in major and minor. So Hummel wrote. Then Kalkbrenner, friend of Chopin, also wrote 24 preludes in all the keys. Ignaz Moscheles wrote 50 preludes in all the keys as well. And Wülfel as well. Anyway, this was a common practice, but nobody wrote such poetic pieces like Chopin. Preludes by Chopin are not intended to be introduction for anything. And here we comes to, well, I have to talk a little because this is the first episode, so I'm talking about all the preludes, right? So forgive me talking, but it's important. We have a beautiful review written by Robert Schumann immediately after Preludes by Chopin was published in Leipzig in September 1839. And Schumann wrote like this: I have to admit that I imagined them completely differently. I thought they will be in a grandeur style, like his etudes. But here I have something which is like a contradiction. These are only sketches of etudes, or ruins, some loose eagles, the parts of eagle wings. Sorry, I forgot. The eagle wings. The Schumann called this is very beautiful, by the way. A very strange mix of pieces. But in every single of them, we can see written in a very little letters, this is written by Frédéric Chopin. Everything wrote Robert Schumann. Also Franz Liszt made a very beautiful review after hearing Chopin playing a few of his preludes in Paris. And he also wrote that these are poetic preludes, which are almost like the poetry of Lamartine, which bring our souls into golden dreams, writes Franz Liszt. Very beautiful words. And this is so touching and fantastic that one great artist, which is Franz Liszt, admire the work and art of another great artist, which is Frédéric Chopin. Of course, these preludes were something very strange for people at that time. We have a lot of questions about preludes, and to make an introduction about preludes, and I'm still trying to make it to be very short, it's very difficult because we have many different questions. First question, when exactly Chopin wrote preludes? Many people think that he wrote it when he was in Mallorca, but definitely not. First of all, he was in Mallorca most of the time. He was extremely sick. He was almost dying. Secondly, he didn't have piano. As we know, Chopin needed piano to compose. Absolutely. He couldn't compose without the piano. And when his piano finally arrived to Mallorca, he in barely 2 weeks' time, he wrote to his friend, "Now finally I'm sending you my preludes, which are completed. You can send them to the publisher." 2 weeks. I know Chopin very well, and I have to tell you, it's absolutely impossible for him to write 24 preludes in 2 weeks. Even 12 preludes would be difficult, but maybe it is possible. Why 12? Well, because some musicologists, especially Jean-Jacques Geldinger, made a very detailed research, very thorough research, based on sources, historical sources and all this stuff. And he found out that probably 12 preludes were already written before Chopin reached Mallorca, and another 12 Chopin wrote in Mallorca. Geldinger doesn't have 100% proof of that, but definitely only some of them were written in the island. Now my theory. Well, my theory is very simple. As you know, I always try to get inside Chopin's soul and his circumstances of his life at the time, and we have to know what it was. First of all, as I told you, he was sick, but mostly we know from his letters that he was very frustrated by the fact that he can't finish preludes and send them to publisher to get money. This is the most important thing. Now, my friends, when Chopin with George Sand went to Mallorca for many months, for nearly half a year and many months, it costed a lot of money, like a vacation. What Chopin did to have this money? Of course, he lent this money. The banker lent the money to Chopin. He borrowed money from the bank. Auguste Leo, the banker, was very famous because Chopin dedicated to him his Polonaise in A-flat major, opus 53. And we know from letters that this banker gets a little frustrated because Chopin didn't have intention to give his money back. So the pressure of time was very important for Chopin. I don't want to say that Chopin wrote this music for money. This is not what I mean. But I mean that Chopin had a pressure of time. And my theory is now as follows. Maybe true, maybe not. That most of these very short preludes were written in Mallorca just to finish with this. You know, because many longer preludes we have, and very polished ones, they are preludes that Chopin had a lot of time to write them. The very short, this was just to finish the empty places. And now another question. Is this a cycle? Is this like one big piece which consists of 24 pieces? Well, we don't know exactly, but what we do know is that Chopin never played all the preludes together in one set. He used to play them on concerts. He liked to do them. he played 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them, but randomly. Also, in one concert, he played a prelude in Glasgow, exactly, Scotland. He played the prelude in F sharp minor, and after that, immediately he played impromptu in F sharp major. So he considered the prelude as a kind of introduction. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think preludes are to be played in full. The same like with Bach. Bach never imagined that one day there will be somebody played all his 24 preludes, but there we have pianists who are playing this set. And it's quite interesting, of course, but this is not what the composer meant. These are pieces which are independent, and this is a good word. These are pieces which are independent. And another thing very important, which makes me think that these preludes are not to be played as a whole, is that Chopin didn't compose them in one period. We have almost 8 years, and during these 8 years Chopin was composing these preludes. The first prelude that he composed, probably D minor, the last one, was composed in 1831 in Stuttgart. I mean, at least the idea of it. So I personally don't like to play them in one go, all the 24, but they are so beautiful that it's very nice to choose some of them and to play them on concerts. And this is, in my opinion, much better idea than to play all of them. But of course, it's very subjective. I think it's enough of talking, because there is quite a lot of questions. If you have more, you can write down the comment and we can have a discussion under this video, because this is quite interesting. But now let's go to analysis. And the first thing, the first prelude. Do you remember my analysis of Chopin's second sonata? This was in fact his first sonata which he published and showed to the world. He was writing sonata more or less in the same time than preludes, and at the beginning of the sonata sounds almost the same like the beginning of the last sonata written by Ludwig van Beethoven, which for sure is a kind of Chopin is giving a tribute to Beethoven. And now, is he giving a tribute to Bach by writing the first prelude? The first prelude was certainly not written in Majorca, and we have proof, because here I have the book, and in this book I have a table which preludes were for sure not written in Majorca and which were written in Majorca. This book is in Polish, written very big, written by Professor Mieczysław Tomaszewski, and here he writes also, he quotes Jean-Jacques Eigeldinger. So number 1 was not written in Majorca, but the first prelude by Bach. And now, the first prelude by Chopin. Is it a tribute for Bach? Yes, it is. Absolute inspiration, it cannot be more. So it's like a kind of romantic Bach, right? This is the first thing I would like to show you. The second thing now. When I listened to many recordings and when I read some analysis of this piece, I didn't find something that for me, when I look at the score, was quite obvious. Usually I read about one melody which is very short. This is what we hear. And of course it is, but there is one more voice in this prelude, written carefully by Chopin, and I have to show you, even if you are not a musician, but maybe some of you are not musicians, I show you here. Here we have this, here these notes and these lines going down, and Chopin wrote it with his own hand. We can find it in also we can see in the manuscript. But anyway, this is a voice, and now we have two voices in this prelude, and this is this is what my analysis will be mostly about. We go into these two voices, and then of course in a kind of structure of the piece. But first of all, before we start, I have to show you something here on my piano, because I didn't talk about it yet. This is a new thing, which is just next to our beloved Chopin. This will be with us all the time during our work with preludes. What is this? This is the wing of some bird, and on this wing we have a beautiful painting. Painted by some artist from Ecuador. When I've been to Ecuador a few years ago, I bought it because I was so astonished by this beautiful art made on a very little wing. And it's very beautiful. I mean, it's not a wing, it's, a different word. I forgot the word. But anyway, you know what I mean. A part of a wing. I think it's a great symbol of preludes, because preludes are also very, very short, and they are beautiful. It's a piece of little art. That's why I thought that it can be a very nice combination of arts to have it on my piano. But okay, anyway, now let's go back to our two voices. We have here one more voice on the in the bass. Which sings the same melody that the upper voice, but a little earlier. How these two voices sounds together? To tell you that in Chopin's writing, it's very clear that he wanted this second voice, the down voice, he wanted it to be loud, like a conversation between two voices, or like this, the first voice is trying to catch the second voice, but he cannot catch the second voice because second voice is always later than the first one. Many symbols you can think also yourself, but let's listen how deep this prelude sounds when we actually really emphasize this voice. I think it's much deeper. I think it's the inner message of this music is deeper, and is very important to emphasize this voice. There are not so many recordings that I can find. Usually we hear it like this. The second voice, the down voice, is just like an accompaniment, which is not. So I think it's a pity, and I don't understand why. pianists are not playing with this. I mean, it's not easy to play, but well, come on, there are much more difficult moments in Chopin's music than this. We have two voices definitely here. But okay, now let's make a short analysis about the structure. And this is also a very important thing now. The first phrase. How it is constructed, the first phrase. We can say that this is the first sentence, like, and we have only seconds here, the interval. Four times we have the second going up, and then four times going down, like an answer. I was thinking a lot, why the first prelude, Chopin, is it some key? Is there something that we will have in other preludes maybe? I thought. And then I started to look for the seconds in preludes. And can you imagine that in every single prelude we have the motif of the seconds, either going up or down. Sometimes it's very obvious, like in this, it's almost like a quotation from the first. Sometimes it's an obsession, like we have here. All the prelude consists of the seconds only, it's built on seconds. Sometimes they are hidden, but they still exist. Sometimes they are emphasized. And then I thought, wow, is it possible that Chopin decided to have one major motif which he put in every single prelude so that he makes it a unity? I think it would be a fantastic thing. We don't know because Chopin never said to anybody, but I think it is very possible, and we will talk about it during our journey through the preludes. But now, okay, let's go back to this analysis. So the first phrase, the melody based on seconds, first 4 seconds going up, then going down. It also is building energy and then releasing. It's like inhale and exhale. And then everything starts from the beginning, but we will not have the exhale, but we will keep going. We'll continue building the energy until the climax, and then we will release the tension. Faster, faster, faster. And here it seems like these two voices, which are, one is trying to catch another one, they are tired. They are getting tired, so they have to slow down. From here, sorry. And then we have like a coda, which is based on, we have the first bar from the first theme, like, and then there is an answer, which in the theme we had 4 bars later, the second going down. Again. The end. So Chopin is obsessively using the interval of the seconds, so 2 consecutive notes here. And that's it. It's a very short piece, very beautiful, that opens the whole cycle of preludes, that gives the tribute to Bach. And now let's listen to it again, and let's focus on these 2 voices. Thank you very much, and I invite you to my next videos about other preludes. See you. Bye bye.